A grown woman like you still wetting the bed like a baby. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? What kind of nonsense is this?
The world knew her by one name, Amara Luxe. That was the name sewn into the inner labels of gowns worn on red carpets in Paris, Milan, New York, and Dubai. The name whispered backstage at fashion weeks. The name fashion editors typed with reverence and envy. The name that had become a symbol of elegance, power, and impossible beauty. Amara Luxe was a high class, world renowned fashion designer, self made, brilliant, and untouchable. But Amara Okafor, the woman behind the name, carried a secret so heavy it bent her spine at night. She still wet the bed, not occasionally, not only when stressed, not once in a blue moon. It had followed her like a shadow since childhood, surviving doctors, prayers, herbal remedies, boarding school, humiliation, and years of silence. And no one knew. No one could know. At 36, Amara's life looked like something pulled straight out of a glossy magazine. She owned homes in three countries. Her Lagos penthouse overlooked the Atlantic, all glass and marble and quiet luxury. Her wardrobe was a living archive of her own creations, tailored suits, flowing silks, architectural gowns that turned fabric into sculpture. Her face appeared on magazine covers, always poised, always serene. Interviews called her elusive, disciplined, mysterious. What they didn't know was that discipline was her survival. She never slept over at anyone's house. She never traveled without booking adjoining hotel rooms for her staff. She never drank too much. She never allowed herself to be careless. Because carelessness meant exposure. Every night, without fail, Amara prepared for bed like someone preparing for battle. Water intake cut off by 6 p.m. Protective sheets layered beneath Egyptian cotton. Silent alarms set to wake her every 2 hours. A private shame handled alone, swiftly, efficiently. By morning, she was flawless again. Suitors came endlessly. Politicians, tech founders, oil magnates, royals, quietly curious behind closed doors. They adored her mind, her beauty, her independence. They offered rings, estates, futures. She rejected them all. Some she turned down gently, others firmly. A few she ghosted entirely. People called her too picky. Her mother called her afraid of happiness. Blogs whispered that she was emotionally unavailable. The truth was simpler and crueler. Amara could not survive being truly known. Marriage meant shared beds, shared nights, shared vulnerability, and she could not bear the moment someone she loved would look at her with disgust. Ikenna did not arrive like the others. He wasn't loud or flashy or trying to impress her. He was a civil engineer, successful, yes, but grounded. He spoke softly. He listened more than he talked. They met at a charity gala she almost didn't attend. He didn't fawn over her fame. He didn't ask about celebrity clients. Instead, he asked her why she chose structure over chaos in her designs. She liked that. They talked, then they talked again, then again. Weeks turned into months. For the first time in years, Amara felt something dangerous blooming in her chest hope. Ikenna was patient, respectful. He never pushed her to stay over, never questioned her boundaries. When he proposed after a year, it felt safe. She said yes. That night, alone in her penthouse, Amara cried into her pillow not with joy, but terror, because secrets do not survive marriage. It happened 3 months into their engagement. A power outage during a storm. Roads flooded. Ikenna insisted she stay over just this once. She tried to refuse. Her voice shook. He thought it was nerves. She said yes anyway. That night, she barely slept. At dawn, she woke to a nightmare made real. The bed was wet. There was no hiding it, no escape. Ikenna woke moments later. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. She tried to speak, tried to explain, words tangled in shame. His face hardened. He stepped away from the bed as if burned. Amara, what is this? Her entire empire collapsed into that one sentence. He did not shout. That hurts more. He dressed quickly, avoiding her eyes. This is not normal, he said. You should have told me. I was afraid, she whispered. He laughed short, cruel. A grown woman? Wetting the bed? What kind of upbringing is that? By evening, the engagement was over. By the next week, his friends knew. By the next month, people whispered. Her name was not mentioned publicly, but in private rooms. The story spread like poison. Ikenna told the story one night at a bar, fueled by alcohol and bitterness. He laughed as he spoke, mocked her, reduced her to a punchline. She's not properly raised. Imagine marrying that. He didn't notice the man at the next table, a man who listened quietly, carefully, a man whose jaw tightened with every word. When Ikenna finished, the stranger stood. You had no rights, the man said calmly. Ikenna scoffed. Who are you? Someone who understands that love does not turn another person's pain into entertainment. The bar went quiet. She trusted you, the man continued, and you broke that trust. That says more about you than it ever will about her. Then he walked away, but he did not forget her name. Amara Okafor did not leave her house for weeks after the engagement ended. She cancelled meetings, sent her creative director in her place. Fashion editors complained. Clients waited. The world murmured, confused by her sudden absence. But inside her penthouse, Amara barely existed. For the first time in her life, her secret was no longer hers alone, and the humiliation burned deeper than she had ever imagined. She replayed Ikenna's words endlessly. Not properly raised, not normal, disgusting. She had spent her entire life building beauty for the world, yet one night had reduced her to something ugly in someone else's mouth. The worst part was not the broken engagement. It was the certainty that she had been right all along. Love was dangerous. The man at the bar was named Daniel Adeyemi. He was a tech CEO, young, impossibly wealthy, and famously private. His company had disrupted fintech across Africa and Europe, yet he avoided headlines whenever possible. He preferred quiet rooms, careful thinking, and observing people when they thought no one important was watching. That night, he hadn't planned to hear anything life changing, but he had. Something about the way Ikenna spoke, casual cruelty wrapped in laughter, had unsettled him deeply. Daniel had grown up watching his mother endure shame for things she could not control. He recognized that tone immediately, and when he later confirmed the woman's identity, he felt a strange pull in his chest. Amara Luxe, the designer, the legend, the woman the world worshipped, and yet so deeply human. Daniel did not rush. He learnt about her quietly, her work, her discipline, her charity initiatives, her absence from public life in recent weeks. When he finally reached out, it was not with flowers or flattery. He sent a letter, handwritten, short. I heard something that should never have been shared. I don't want anything from you. I just want you to know that not everyone who hears a cruel story believes it. Some of us believe the person behind it deserves dignity. There was no signature beyond his name. Amara read the letter 3 times. Then she cried, not from pain, but from the shock of being defended by a stranger. They met weeks later in a quiet cafe far from cameras. Daniel did not ask her to explain herself. He did not pry. He spoke about books, about failure, about fear. He spoke honestly about therapy, about shame, about learning that strength and vulnerability were not opposites. Something in Amara softened. Over time, she told him, not all at once, not easily, but when she finally said the words, I still wet the bed, she did not look up. She braced herself. Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. That must have been very lonely, he said. That was all. No disgust, no jokes, no questions that cut. She wept openly for the first time in years. Their relationship grew slowly, intentionally. Daniel never made her feel rushed. He educated himself quietly, spoke to specialists, learned what support actually meant. When they married 2 years later, it was private, elegant, safe. Their bedroom was not a battlefield. It was a place of patience. With medical care, emotional safety, and unwavering support, something extraordinary happened. The bedwetting stopped, not overnight, but steadily, as her body learnt what her heart finally believed. She was safe, she was loved, she was not broken. 3 years later, Ikenna came back. He had heard the rumors, seen the headlines, realized what he had lost. He came to apologize. Amara listened quietly. Then she smiled soft, resolved. I forgive you, she said, but forgiveness does not mean access. She introduced him to her husband. Daniel nodded politely. That was all. No drama, no revenge, just dignity. Today, Amara still designs gowns that stop rooms cold, but she also speaks quietly to women who carry hidden shame. She no longer lives in fear of being known because the truth she learned changed everything. The right love does not expose your wounds, it helps you heal them. And the secret that once ruled her life, it no longer owns her story.